after I moved to Hyderabad and when I have met all of you in industry, I always advise my Delhi students and the Delhi teachers, they have to have some entrepreneurial segment also in there, because the way you think, the way you innovate, this is all very different in an academic life, which the way which we teach. Basically, either we are teaching the students to be scientists or like it professors. That's the two things which we are doing it. But for industry, it's like you have so many things. Apart from science, you have to have so many other skills also.
Her story chat series session. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our guest, Dr. P. Hemalatha Reddy. Dr. P. Hemalatha Reddy is an expert in science education, administration, and science policies. She is the first women principal of Sri Venkateswara College, University of Delhi. She is involved in activities pertaining to the startup ecosystem in the pharma sector. She also involved in training undergraduate faculty in latest areas of life sciences through Delhi Science and Technology Cluster. She is an advisory member in Delhi Effective Education and Pedagogy Cluster. Also, she is an executive council member of Federation of Asian Biotech Association. Ma'am, welcome to Her Story Interaction session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharanya. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharanya. One thing I have to tell you, I have met her so many times. As soon as she walks in, you can see a leader walking in. There is an aura about Dr. Hema. So my general belief is leaders tend to have an aura, and when you walk in, you can see that, and you can clearly, when you meet Dr. Hema, you'll clearly see, there is an aura about her, and you feel like this is a person who's a leader. So first one we go, and then I'm very excited to have you. Obviously, I've known you for a while and interacted with you. So for the next half an hour, I'll just ask you, questions. The first question really is, how did you get into science? And because in India, women getting into science is not an automatic thing, especially STEM. So what was your path to being in science?
Thank you, Dr. Uday, for inviting me for this forum. And all these fresh faces, all the students, when I see, and mostly a lot of them are girls, I can see that. And it's a very apt question when you have asked how I have landed up in science. This is almost, there is no question, because I used to like science a lot, even at my schooling days. And I've been into one of the very good colleges in Andhra Pradesh. That time it is Sri Satyasai College in Anantapur. It is all about a kind of religious foundation has started the college, but it's all mix of so many people from internationally also used to have the students there. Maybe that is the platform where I got a very good science teachers who used to teach us from all over India. They've been taken. So that's the first foundation I got for science and to understand science. And when you have told me that about your mother, and how she is like PhD when she is not. It always happens way back in 40 years. It is like getting into science, because at that time science means only if you are interested in medicine. That's the only field you go. But the other areas like undergrad and the postgrad, that's all like not very well known, like the way right now it is. That is the way I first. Getting into biology at that time. It used to fascinate me a lot, biology. So that's why it's our time. It is like in our places, it's not like a majors and minors like right now we have in honors courses. You have 16, 14 papers majors and then 3-4 papers minors. That time it's all like a pass course. All three subjects are from equally there. Like that, zoology, botany is always supported by the chemistry. If we don't have a chemistry, then not picked into any applied science. If you want to go, it is the chemistry is the base. So that's the way it happens in Satyasai. That's the beginning of my science.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there. I'm very aware of, Sri Satyasai Institutes, even the medical college there. I've been there. The hospital there, so super specialty hospital. I've been in Puttaparthi, I've been there. But how did you then get into academia? Was it by choice, or you just happened to get into academia, or?
No, it is a kind of a journey which is by default. All these things have happened because I was very much like interested in biochemistry right from the beginning. My masters have been from biochemistry. At the time, it was there only at Andhra University, where that biochemistry is to be there, masters.
Yeah.
So when I did my master's program there, the PhD part, they said in Delhi, you get, wonderful life sciences labs are there. And Jawaharlal Nehru University is the place where you have good school of life sciences. So I very much wanted to pursue my career in science. So it just happened, I landed up in Delhi after my marriage. Then that time we have TAV Subramaniam is a very well-known figure in tuberculosis research, Patel Chest Institute. Delhi, one of the very good premier research institutions at the time. And applied sciences is nowhere at the time. So
Yeah.
I did my PhD from that institute, PhD. And naturally, I am talking at the 80s, early 80s. And so at the time, what is the channel is like when you do your PhD, definitely you have to go for your postdoc.
Right.
And most of my seniors, because that's the chain. So you do complete your PhD and go for extra exposure and the training in US. So I got it in Maryland. In NIH, I got postdoctoral fellowship, but I couldn't go at the time. Naturally, with my child and my husband based in Delhi, so I preferred teaching at the time. Professor Bachawat,
Yes,
who
of
is a
course.
pioneer in biochemistry. So he started biochemistry department in Delhi University at undergraduation. So that was the exact year when my PhD is done, and that's the time this department started opening up. So Professor Bachawat has picked up a few, I would say, like the people like me who were very much interested in science, but still not able to go for the training. Those are the people he wanted them to start teach in the colleges to train the students. So that's where my journey has happened to land up in academics. And Professor Bachawat, very clearly, he used to tell us that unless otherwise we give good foundation to the students at the undergrad, they will not be able to learn anything. Masters are matured because the molding takes place at the undergraduate level. So he asked us to teach undergrad biochemistry in totally in a different way, not like the rote learning, nothing of that. The experiential learning and the problem-based learning, which right now is a policy of national education policy, part of it, which Professor Bachawat used to tell us even at that time, 1990, the first biochemistry department started in Delhi University. And that's the time the students, we used to teach biochemistry through projects, small projects we used to design. So it was very interesting. That's the reason maybe many students, but the constraint is like we were not able to take many students.
Yes.
Because the projects, if you want to run undergrad projects, it's basically 15 to 20 students. But we had at undergrad all those experiments, which was their part of any life sciences curriculum, which we used to make it as the project and make the students learn in the labs, everything.
Wow.
So that's the way it started.
Excellent. How was it to go live in the North? I mean, I am a North Indian, but I lived all in my life in South. I find it very hard to go and adjust in North. So I'm curious to see how did you adjust in North?
Now it's the other way, Dr. Uday. It's becoming difficult for me to adjust in Hyderabad now after living for so many years. My journey, it was very interesting the first without any language base, I would say that. no Hindi, like, we will not, though my Hindi is all about clearing the exam at the 10th class, that much Hindi I know when they, but of course, then I will not say that it is tough. Or maybe Delhi is like a central university. Maybe like you will find all kinds of people from everywhere. But uh, I always feel that training in Delhi University is the best for me, and developed very good friends there, and a very and the entire when I did my PG from Andhra University, the subjects which have been handled there in Andhra University way back at the time, Dr.
Mhm.
Uday, you will not believe molecular biology is all about one chapter in
Wow.
Mylar and Modis. That's the biochemistry book. Then when I went to Delhi, molecular biology is one full paper. And all this recombinant DNA technology and all various genetic engineering techniques we learned during my upskilling, the thing, refresher courses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all those things. And basically, my husband is from the defense services. There is no question of not adjusting in Delhi for me.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always miss Delhi.
Yeah. How was I know then you also became principal at the Sri Venkateswara College. How did that
Yes.
happen that you then from academia, I mean, you went into a leadership role? What was the
Yeah.
transition?
It's by default. I would say that never I wanted to be in an administrative role, neither, because it's all like a busy for me. The teaching, I love teaching, and
Hmm.
my students are really like, I used to be part of them. So never happened that I'm going to be anytime leader also. So 2008, I was doing my visiting scientist position in Texas. When I was there at that time, in Venkateswara College, by the time I was very much stabilized in science with so many DBT projects were going on, ICMR projects. So Venkateswara College was looking for a principal at the time who has a science background, because basically that college is a very prestigious science
Yes.
college. But
Yes.
they wanted to have some Telugu person. That's the language they have put the condition, because their administration, everything runs from Tirupati. So
Hmm.
though the college is from Central University, so we follow the curriculum, everything from Delhi University. But at the same time, administrative matters, it all is like Tirupati, it is associated. So they are looking for a person who is good with the Delhi University as well as who can speak Telugu and who
Hmm.
can manage. So that's where they asked us. And for me, it is like for a science college. I was just looking. Dr. Deepak Paintal was my vice chancellor at the time in Delhi
Hmm.
University, and he's a pioneer in
Right.
this mustard and the genetic. So he was, in fact, he wanted me to take up a position in one of the colleges nearby before I commit for this college. I said I will not be able to do that because my time I wanted to give it to the students.
Mm.
Then he said that in case if you want to give time to the students, it's like a 20 students you are going to mold for a year.
Right.
But
Right.
if you are the leader, you can touch the lives of thousands of students.
Very true.
So that
Yes.
is what he said. So then it just worked, Venkateshwara. I never thought that I will work more than a year as a principal, but it just went on and on. That's what.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you have introduced a lot of innovative and pioneering ideas into education. Can you just tell us about your favorite ones, at least?
Yeah, it was like Star College program, Department of Biotechnology, 2008, 2009. That at the time, Dr. Ban was a secretary DBT.
Yes.
So he was at the time, most of the question and all the people in science, they were thinking about is why students are all going to commerce, not sticking
Hmm.
on to pure sciences. Why it is not actually fascinating them. What should we do at the undergraduate level? That was the question. And it's in places like Delhi or in Mumbai, you have good colleges and you get
Yeah.
good crowd also into this. But they were talking from the scenario at pan India. So then they introduced a program, a Star College program, which strengthens the laboratories in the life sciences and all other sciences also at all levels, 2 tier, 3 tier cities. So that's the time I applied a grant for Venkateswara College so that students, instead of because with whatever fee for a government college they pay, with whatever revenue which we get, getting chemicals for good projects and running multiple times a particular experiment is really difficult.
Right.
It's only like a demonstrations. It will not work with the demonstrations. So we always have to have the extra support, and DBT has come into our rescue. So then we started getting projects to the college, and DBT also has started at the time multi-institutional projects where reputed science institutes, they always collaborate with good colleges. So students, undergrad students, used to learn science from the scientists. They used to come to the college, and some one very interesting one which we did with the ICGEB, where they wanted that sequencing of certain small primers they want to sequence for tuberculosis work when they were doing it, so that students can learn how to design the primers, how to use PCRs and all those things. Like that, the scientists used to come to college, because basically in Delhi this happened because Venkateshwara geographically it is located, like, in the South Delhi, we are surrounded by very good science institutes. So that has become base for the students, and students started working on learning all this during their class time, as well as their summer interns also they used to do. And it just happened um, up to when I was in biochemistry department before becoming principal. It's all about biochemistry. I used to talk, but after becoming principal, it's a platform. It has widened. It's all biology then, biology and how to connect with economics, how to connect with statistics. Like that, it started growing. So many students, they've done really wonderful work. My straight students, when they have done. Shiva Sriram, he is one of our 2014 batch. He's in Goa, and he did this point of care for testing of, at the time it was like a COVID, I think, tuberculosis. He developed kits at the time, and then he got into the, maybe this is 4 5 years back I was talking about. And one of other student, Devika, she has sequenced Zika virus. I mean, it's all like when you see your students at that stage, small, whatever foundations we have given, when we start meeting people, when they're talking some sensible science, that is the satisfaction which you get. That is the one which is the, what I would say, that's for a teacher, what more you can get.
Yes.
That is where we are.
Yeah.
Most of them are in the faculty of ISCs, and out of ICERs, they become faculty.
Yeah. What do you think, women in STEM is still something that is, very hesitant. What do you think one could do to encourage women to get into STEM? What is the roadblock that is preventing women? Because obviously they are as bright, if not brighter than, anybody else. So, but if you look at as a percent of, the students who get into STEM, women are still, less, especially in countries like US. It's dismal, actually. It's the ratio is very lopsided in favor of men. So, what is the roadblock, or is it a mental block, or is it a choice, or?
Actually, this year, in Republic Day parade, I was so happy that Nari Shakti, when they have shown that, in the places like, Indian Army, where women having the role in Indian Army itself is so difficult, even to have one or two. Now, when you see the whole contingent, when they're walking, that is where I was happy, because that has given me so much to think about how in science we did, and what difficulties when we faced when STEM education. It's all because teach students, they do, girl students, they do extremely well up to class 12, undergrad and postgrad also, they're excellent. But if you see at the age of 40, at the age of 25, when they are excelling, but at the age of 40, how many of them have reached the positions where they can do? It's all we can understand. At that time, there is no online teaching, nothing. They all have to be physically there. Because some productive years, women, especially in India, with productive years, they slightly take the back seat because for all the various commitments with the children and they have. But many students now they are in the senior positions. After 40, they've just picked up. The gap of 4-5 years or 6 years, though mentally we think that we are lagging behind. No, it is not like that. If you don't lose the determination those years, those productive years, and if you have a good mentor or if you are involved with something which is related to science, even if you are not in a frontline research at the time. But after 40, when they're relatively free, their career line picks up, and that's where we can see good scientists now. They're all there, and the percentage of women, definitely it's increasing now. It's much, much better than many years back. But still, if you see in a leadership role at the top positions of various science institutes, it is minimal, I can say.
The other question I wanted to ask you is how do you compare the education system in India versus Europe or US?
To agree, there is two different schools of thought when you have in an Indian system and when you have either European or American system, because students used to have a lot of trouble when they used to go for their master's program, having completed 16 years of education in India when they go for master's. Because there you are expected to be very independent and you have to come up with all your innovative thinking. And right now, that kind of thought process, now it's been introduced even in India also. There is like right from the beginning, because this has been much thought about at Human Resource Ministry at that level, say 2015 and 2016, I would say, when we have that, when the draft has been doing for national education policy, how our students are going to compete globally, why there are something is lacking in terms of getting trained or kind of the way they get adjusted. So that's why they have brought the radical change even in the syllabus right now here. Both ways, they have good points over here, and they have independent thinking, which is there in US, independent projects. Especially, I tell you, Dr. Uday, our students, after passing PG and everything, that journaling and communication skills and writing skills, that was, though they are very good in a subject, but you have to translate that on the paper also. And in the US system, if you see in undergrad, they encourage the students to publish papers. That is the art of writing. So this is what many students, when they used to come back on vacation to the college, they always used to say, "Ma'am, please tell them, how to write the papers and how to interpret the journaling." Here, that's where independent paper and then journal club to promote journal club, all those things. So those are the good points we have taken. And the foundation part which we have, that nice chemistry and a maths background which our Indian teachers give. So those are the things they have helped, definitely. Yes.
I'll ask one last question. I see there's quite a few people who will probably ask questions. A lot of our interns are masters who have to make a decision after internship. Do I find a job? Do I do a PhD? Do I continue in science? What advice do you give them to make what I think is a life-changing decision? What advice would you give to young students?
It depends on their interest, because some of them, generally, those who take science, for them it is the results will not be overnight, because many of our students, masters, interns, when they do that also, unless otherwise you have a very strong training. I'll not say you build up your qualification also, but sometimes now skills also very important. If you get good skills, and when you get a placement to work, you can always upgrade your qualification. But without a good qualification, no matter how good your science is, you will not be considered for some positions. One, two, independently, if you want to really do something in the lab, that freedom will not be there. That's why you have to have a reasonable qualification to work in a lab when you want to do some innovative ways to introduce in science. I would say that. But some people, all are not cut for research also, Dr. Uday. Some of them, they do a lot of parallel science also, they do that. These days, there are so many avenues are there.
Yes.
So science background with that, if they bring in some management aspect of something like, that's why all these courses which have been started now, so they can mix these courses and do a lot of parallel careers they can pick up.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. What is your special advice to the next generation women who wants to be a leader or who wants to be in a leadership position?
Yeah, see, the leadership, when you take this, you have to be very clear in your perception. And you have to take the team along with you, Sharanya. For that, you have to really gel well. Any group, even if you say you for friends group or in a leader is a like in a big group and one of them is leading that. So you have to give due respect and space to each and everybody to express. And then once you see that bonding is there, then the results will come automatically, objectives. So I always feel, and women are good leaders because they have a lot of patience to listen the people, and the multitasking they do that. The stress factor, generally you don't get irritated too fast. I mean, they just keep listening to them, and that's the way people, because in a leadership role people want to come and tell you whatever they've experienced. That's what happens. So always, and we need good leaders also.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I read that you switched your career from teaching to administration. So I want to know what skills you had initially that helped you excel in administration, or what are the skills
Uh,
required for administration?
because I managed a college, basically it's like a students. You have to manage the students and faculty. I used to love students and used to sit with the students. So for me, it is like having 20 students to 2,000 students. It didn't matter. That's why that's one thing which I wanted. And the second thing, exactly like Gopi is asking me, unless otherwise I'm in a leadership role, I can't really bring the change in the teachers. Because if you are a teacher, you are only the direct communication with the students. You can bring them, and they always teacher-student relationship is absolutely it is that bonding is very very different. But you cannot bring change in so many students. So you need to have a teachers who will have the same kind of thought process as you have. That's why, as a leader, only you can bring in at least 1% change in the teachers. That's one reason we went to administrative skills, that is one. And practically, it is if a leader who has got a kind of scientific bent, then bringing in some kind of grants to the college is easy, because there are government of India has got so many grants for undergraduate colleges. But if you are not from a science background, then the intricacies and the depth will not be there to apply for those grants. And Venkateswara being a science college, so we did that, and we used to get a lot of grants. In fact, when sometimes it becomes too much, so much grant was there and spending was not there, and that used to be.
Ma'am, what did you think that this generation should avoid to achieve their goals?
If you ask me, it is like this generation, I find mostly like these are all next generation students. No, here it is digital detox. First of all, if you are into too much of social media, because some of the things which are in your brain also, what without this social media, the kind of time which you give for your own innovation, that digitization takes takes everything from us. You just glued to everything. That's why basically my advice for all of them is at least one day in a week, go for a digital detox. That refreshes you so much. You will realize your own inner potential just by being quiet and thinking. Your thinking capacity increases. Okay, that's my advice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Outstanding. Yeah. Deepshika, please.
Hello, ma'am. I was very eager to ask you about your daily routine. Like, how are you feeling like administrating a big institution so actively? So, what's your daily routine? How you are balancing your work life and your family?
It is a daily routine is like any other thing. See, one thing, whatever you feel like, if you love doing something, time will come automatically. One. And a daily routine is like administrative work will be there, meetings and all those things. But I used to make it a point to meet students and teachers, is to go for rounds. This what even when we have a practical examinations in the college, generally I love to meet the examiners who visit from other colleges for their practical examinations, because that's the time you get that input from other examiners. So see, always like we should be part of them. We should be part of the students, part of student. And I get a lot of interesting experiences with my 11 years tenure as a principal. Science students are always disciplined. I'll tell you, this is something which I have understood after handling my all the other part of my science wing. Science students are always friend benchers. They always listen to you. They are most of the time in the practicals. But for my humanities students and the liberal arts, they are vibrant. They bring life to the college. And at the same time, they are the ones who are the troublemakers. So my life is always spicy with my humanities students. They have all kinds of elections, cultural programs, everything. But that vibrancy is required at the student level. That's why now, if you see the courses, the designing of the courses now, they see that it's not only the lab courses. They said they've given more flexibility to pick up any course from humanities also and prepare your own bunch of courses in undergrad. That's because their perception is very different. Liberal arts students, totally. Whatever science you see that, we always feel that A and B, A is B, in between we never considered, right? They always have that gray areas they work on. So that is managing skills they have, a lot managing skills. That's what my routine is half the time with the students, and evenings meetings and all the paperwork. Like that. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else would want to have a question for Dr. Hema? Please, open your video, introduce yourself very quickly, and ask the question, please. Okay. While they are thinking about asking a question, one of the things that, I actually had that decision point to whether to go into academia or go into industry. And I felt that industry was more goal-oriented and deliverables are very clear-cut. And because of that, politics might be a little less. I have never experienced academic life as a worker. So what do you think are the big differences between working in academia versus industry?
Thought process is totally different, no, Dr. Uday, because in the industry, what you are working for is very different from a academician. Academician, it's all about outcome is not anything matters, no, for us. It is like the training, grinding for the students, how you mold. And at a scientist level, at a postgraduate level, if you see that, what kind of the objectives they get. Sometimes the questions they ask in those projects need not be very much like a result oriented or a basic interest to probe and to get. That is the way academicians, they train themselves and they train the students also. But of late, because after I moved to Hyderabad and when I have met all of you in industry, I always advise my Delhi students and the Delhi teachers, they have to have some entrepreneurial segment also in there. Because the way you think, the way you innovate. This is all very different in academic life, which the way which we teach. Basically, either we are teaching the students to be scientists or like it professors. That's the two things which we are doing it. But for industry, it's like you have so many things. Apart from science, you have to have so many other skills also to come up. So a student, if you see that, those skills are very much required. So not only like working in the lab, this precisely I have seen with my students. Some of them are so good on the bench, but they're unable to express. Suppose if they are a good patent they have, imagine, and if they are not able to get that patent sell across the board, if they are not able to convince, what is happening, their knowledge, it will all remain with them, no? So that's why it's a right mix is required. So even DBT also these days, they are promoting a lot of student-based entrepreneurship cells. They're promoting. Yuva program, it is there. Because you need to have that kind of innovative mind and probing like an academician. Both are required.
Yep. Totally, 100% agree with that. Yeah. Anybody else have a question, please?
One of my colleagues, Mr. Vishnu, he wants to know, so what are the suggestions that he can get it if he or she wants to become an entrepreneur without any financial support as in the beginning stages? So what are the challenges they face if they want to become an entrepreneurship, and what are the advantages that they get?
Without financial support, how will they become entrepreneur? That is something which is I don't know. It is only like because any kind of a project, when you do that, even to prototype, if you want to design also, you need to have some support. But they have good support systems are also there. No, you have a BIRAC is funding so much. So that is one, and private funding also sometimes they have. But I would always say Government of India funding initial stages that brings the brand. Then you can build up on that. That's what. So what would you advise to join a postdoc or an academic position? Yeah, this is a good question. Postdoc, if you do postdoc, that's the training more than your PhD. So that means you are set for a scientist or you are set to handle certain projects. But for an academic position, postdoc, PhD at different levels. If you have at undergraduate level, if you are looking at, it's like a PhD training is more than enough for undergraduate. For a post-graduation, definitely you require a postdoc at a university level. If you are looking for little more training in a specialized area, definitely they look for. So it is all like what you really want to do, at what level you want. So given a chance, I would suggest postdoc.
To thank Dr. Hema, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. On behalf of IEFR and attendees of her story, I extend my sincere gratitude to our speaker, Dr. Hemalatha Reddy. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us and generously sharing your valuable knowledge today. Your answer not only enlightened us, but also ignited renewed enthusiasm for the possibilities within the life sciences. I want to express our deepest gratitude to our CEO and mentor, Dr. Uday Saxena. It is through his constant support and leadership that we are able to come together for this inspiring event. I also want to thank Dr. Gobi Kadiala for his continuous support. And we want to thank the audience for asking thoughtful questions and actively participating. Your curiosity and engagement added depth to our discussion, making the event more valuable. Thank you for being so enthusiastic. Finally, I thank you all your presence and contributions, and we are grateful for the positive energy you brought to this interactive section. Once again, I thank you everyone.